going on, Jeromes? So the Minnesota Vikings obviously have the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League with Justin friggin' Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the game, as well as Jordan Addison. I feel like, well, also the best wide receiver duo in the league is Justin Jefferson and Speedy Naylor, as well as Justin Jefferson and, I don't know, Tim Jones. Justin Jefferson and I would be a top 5 receiver unit in the league. That's what happens, man. But can certainly never have enough receivers. And the Vikings got themselves another good one. Rondale Moore. Well, wouldn't even really qualify him as a receiver. I feel like he's just in general offensive weapon return specialist. It's going to be good to go. Reportedly signed for a 1-year deal. Likely going to be relatively cheap as he looks to get his career back on track. And Moore actually visited with the Vikings over the weekend, and he left without a deal. We're a little bit concerned because with Rondale Moore, probably we're doing medical checks. Maybe it didn't come up to snuff, but Rondale Moore actually, he might be a genius. So he took visits with the Bears, with the Jets, as well as with the Tennessee Titans, and then he signed with the Vikings. So he hit 3 culinary capitals as we're going around. All right, so visit with the Vikings. Yeah, I'm going to sign with the Vikings, but let me see what else I can get. Went to Chicago, got a bunch of free food. You got Gibson Steaks, you got Superdog, you got the deep dish pizza. Went to New York, the culinary capital of the East Coast. And then you went to Nashville, Tennessee, got some barbecue. Woo! It's good times. Is it Nashville or Memphis that has the dry ribs, which doesn't sound appeasing, but appetizing, but it's really good. They don't wrap them, but they still come out super tender. Anyways, you mainly use the loinback ones. But either way, Rondale Moore adds to the Vikings receiver room. So right now, Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Rondale Moore, Tim Jones, Thayer Thomas, Deshaun Jones, Lucky Jackson in that mix. And yes, Addison is probably facing his 3-game suspension at some point in 2025. So Rondale Moore in the mix is going to be good. And you know Rondale, second-round pick by the Cardinals. And he was just an absolute monster at Purdue. His true freshman season, 2018, is the stuff that legends are written about. Plus, his 2-touchdown game where he was just in beast mode against Ohio State, completely teabagging the Buckeyes. It was good to see. But injuries in 2019, a Rona season in 2020, and even with all that, he was still a second-round pick by the Cardinals. But it just never really came together. The Cardinals are weird. So they had Rondale Moore, and then they spent a second-round pick on Andy Isabella, ahead of DK Metcalf, and it just didn't work. But a couple of injuries here and there, as well as he was traded to the Falcons as part of the Desmond Ridder deal, and then tore his ACL in training camp, and that's why he's been sort of out of sight, out of mind. But here's what he can bring. Again, Kwesi loves him, the medical, the formerly high-drafted, mama, I can change him type players. And Rondale Moore is definitely giving that. A world-class speed, 4.33 40, and he is a slot machine. Now, you're saying, a lot of people say, well, Rondale Moore's in the building. That lessens Jalen Speedy Naylor. Not really. So Rondale Moore primarily works out of the slot, is more of a horizontal threat, run after the catch type guy. And Jalen Speedy Naylor is outside X and Z receiver, just speed. Speed, vertical threat outside, your traditional receiver that way. So Rondale Moore and Jalen Naylor, I think, composite bring a lot of really fun weapons after Jefferson and Addison. Plus, sudden in space, great athlete. He's good as a return man, especially returning punts. I think that he could be a 1-for-1 replacement for Brandon Powell. Plus, he's a proud dude, and he's got that chip on his shoulder where come back from the injuries, his career hasn't really panned out the way that you would want, but he's a tough kid, overcame a lot of injuries, high character, hard worker, and will fit in very well with the Vikings culture. So I think that it's a great pickup. It's going to be cheap. It's a 1-year deal, and Vikings got their guy. Now, certainly could go wide receiver at some point in the draft, even though the Vikings don't have a ton of draft picks. But just like Kwesi's been doing, making sure that the Vikings don't have any glaring needs heading into the draft. Yes, they'll sign a backup. Yeah, they'll sign Flacco. It'll be fine. But Rondale Moore, again, if he can get his career back on track, it's going to be glorious, man. It's going to be really good. But your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings sign the electric Rondale Moore. Woo! Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol. Production value.